It's been 2 years and
actually, I need to go take a picture. I sort of had a good picture of my phone, so when I say no timid train, you know. Yeah, I got one of those.
Hi, Barry. How are you?
Morning.
We need to do that together. You have to find stuff.
Do you blow the horn at the mayor every morning you leave?
No, felt like throwing a tomato a few times though.
That's a microphone we got before.
Boy, how you doing? You stay up late night, Chuck, and watch the game.
I watched it. Even Ann sat there and watched it. She said that's a great game.
I think Carol said, we're not Carolina fans, I'm ACC fans, so he said, this is the asset for this game, and not old. I said, if they could do that the first half, Kansas could do the same thing the second half.
Years ago, North Carolina should have won, but
Yeah, came close.
I can't say that. Carolina lose. I root for the ACC.
Right.
But it's hard. Carolina.
It's the wrong color blue, I can't afford it.
Mac, are you ready? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Rotarians. Welcome.
Attention on deck.
You're supposed to say Admiral on the deck. Okay, right. If we all could stand and face the American flag for our pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the four-way test, please.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thanks, everybody. Grab your seats. I'm going to discuss, since we're running a little late today, we struggle with this room because we can't get in. Well, sometimes it's late as 10 minutes to 8, so it takes the technical team time to get hooked up and tied into the internet and so forth. So we're looking at other options as we speak. But if we may, then I'd like to turn the program over to Chuck. We'll start right away.
Okay.
Hand it to you, young man.
All right. I have the athletic director at Orange County High School here with us, so he can, Mike Neeley can let us know what is kind of going, just the Cliff Notes edition of what's sort of going on in sports from September till now. And if you've got any great athletes that you feel people would like to know, or you know when they're playing college, you can mention. I don't think there's anybody here with a kid playing that's gonna get upset. And but just, you know, men's and women just like to know how to do it. Absolutely. Well, okay, if I
Stand up, you can do whatever you choose, whatever makes you comfortable.
I'm not much for sitting, especially in this job. It keeps me running around. Well, Mr. Mason, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate everybody's time this morning. Our time. But it's it's nice when I get the opportunity to share the good news, you know, especially in today's day and age. It seems like there's so much negativity out there. One of the blessings in this job is that you know, we get to go have fun every afternoon, and part of the things that activities do, not just for the students, I'll talk about that as well, but for the community, is shared positivity. It's a gathering point for us all, and it's a place where we can all come and have a common bond. You know, that's something I feel like we're missing nowadays. Not to get too political, but something that unites us. You know, I speak to the students about this and the community and the parents as well. Is it's so easy to see all of our differences because they're so front and center, but it's not as easy to see what we have in common, right? And one of the things that we all have in common in this room and at that school is that we're all Hornets, right? And that unites us and that bonds us, especially on Friday nights or at basketball games. That's something that we can all agree upon, is that we're all part of the same team, you know, at least for that. So, Mr. Mason asked me to give you the clip notes, which I am not good at. I ramble, and I apologize for that. I'm going to give us a few accomplishments as far as an athletic department, and then I'd like to speak on our students' accomplishments. But also, if you'll indulge me a little bit on philosophy. So, our athletic department is really geared towards what's called education-based athletics, right? We are very blessed in this country that our athletics can be tied to our school system. I think in other countries, you'll find that school system is solely academic. And then when you have to, you know, when you want to find your athletics, your school, or your sports offerings and activities, you have to go outside of it. But we are lucky enough where we can have them inside the school, and then we can tie them to education. Because, and you'll forgive me, the teachers in the room, I don't mean this as an insult, but what I think students really remember from their days in school, maybe not necessarily a science lesson, but they will remember that time where they sacked the quarterback on a crucial third down. They're going to remember what the coach said to them in that huddle during that timeout that changed their life. They're going to remember the camaraderie that they had with their teammates. And those things are skills that might be harder to teach in a classroom setting, but those skills that will last and serve them for a lifetime, right? Skills like leadership, loyalty, hard work, internal discipline, perseverance, you know. But anyway, that's really what we do, you know. Yeah, sure, we teach you how to hit a sled. We'll teach you how to hit a layup. Those are all important things as well. But the most important thing we do is raise young men and women to be citizens. But anyway, that being said, I took this job. I was blessed enough to be offered this job 5 years ago. And I followed in the footsteps of a great man and hard shoes to fill, Mr. Mark Cole. He's a Hall of Fame wrestling coach and administrator. And so when I came in here, it was a little overwhelming. And one of the things that I've tried to focus on is facility upgrades and restoring maybe some winning ways of the past. And a lot of you guys know or have played for Paul Sizemore, who is also a legend. And back in those days, Orange County was known as, you didn't want to play Orange County. They were fierce competitors, right? And so I wanted to make sure that we still had that, because I hate to say this, but it's true. Winning fixes a lot of problems. You know, if you go to Louisa, for instance, you know, their football team, for instance, is on a winning streak, right? And so you'll see that the crowds are bigger there. You'll see that their heads are a little higher there. So all that stuff I was talking about earlier, the education-based athletics, it's all well and good, but it also really helps if it translates onto victories on the field, right? Like I said, that just fixes a lot of things. So one of the ways that we can get on the winning track is by instilling some pride in our kids and our programs. And one of the ways that we can do that is by having top-notch facilities that they can be proud of. You know, when you come to practice and you see that you know, you can have some pride in where you're going and where you're playing in on Friday nights. That really boosts the motivation of and the morale of not only the kids but the people that are watching. So to that end, you'll hopefully notice, if you haven't been out there, please come on out to the high school. And at the back, we used to have when I went to school, a cinder track. And then it became an asphalt track with cracks all in it and spray painted lines. But now if you go out there, you will see one of the nicest surfaces and top-notch equipment. I mean, if we continue to, you know, add to what we're doing out there, we can really host state meets out there. It's that nice. And I'm so thankful for the school board and for the board of supervisors and our local administration for having the vision to know that we needed that and to complete that project.
When was that done?
Top notch.
When was that completed?
It was, we had our first track meet in spring of last year.
Oh, okay.
Our first track meet in 5 years.
Whoa.
And so, you know, we've had a track team in those 5 years, but every time they compete, they go to somebody else's home, you know? So now that they can invite their friends and families to our track. And so now that we do have those facilities, and that equipment is top notch, by the way, it's all brand new equipment as well. And I can talk about this later, but we've produced region and state high jump qualifiers and placers. Our relay team went to the state. We haven't had these kind of accomplishments in several years. So it really does translate. So the new track facility is wonderful. We have installed new wireless score clocks in the field house. If you've been to Porterfield Park lately, you'll notice that we have bathroom facilities now, which are very nice. They're about the size of this room, and they have multiple stalls. There's two locations for men and women. They're wonderful. We have new LED lights at the tennis courts and also in the baseball portion of Porterfield Park, which are not only the lumens are much higher, so the visibility is greater for the student athletes, but it's a cost savings as well, because you can flick them on and off with the drop of a hat. Those old lights that you have to turn on in 20 minutes that they have to warm up and all that, they're also very expensive to run. So these new LED lights are a fraction of that cost. This is a neat one. You know, COVID was a big challenge, but if you look on the bright side, we innovated. And one of the ways we innovated in the athletic department was by partnering with the VHSL network, which is basically the ESPN of high school. And so if you log on to the VHSL network, now there's a monthly subscription fee. However, you can watch our football games on there. You can watch Albemarle County's football games. All the Jefferson District schools have bought into this now, and the cameras are automatic and they follow the action. It's really neat technology. So let's say that you know there's a ball on the field that we're playing on. So the cameras and the computers are trained to follow the action of the ball, and so it swivels this way, it swivels that way, it zooms in and zooms out, and it's all automatic. So we have that in our field house. So we can broadcast, you know, our basketball, volleyball, wrestling, all the events in the field house, as well as any academic or other activity events that you might have in the field house. Let's say we have graduation in the field house. You know, we could broadcast it through the VHSL channel. Now that might be an auxiliary way to do that, but anyway, the point is, if your grandparents are in Colorado, they can watch you play on Friday night. And that's pretty neat. So the reason it became necessary during a challenging time of COVID was because obviously our capacity, our venue capacity was either limited or eliminated. And that meant that, mom and dad, let's say your kid was 18 and she was a senior. This was their last year playing basketball. They were lucky enough to be on the court, but you couldn't watch them. And that was hard. So we were lucky enough to figure out a way to bring that game into their home so they at least could watch it, if not live. So that was a blessing. Another innovation that we've learned from COVID was, how do you exchange money? So, it became unsafe to exchange money. So we partnered with a company called Ticket Spigot. And you just turn on the spigot and the money flows. I wish it worked that way. But it enabled you to go online like you would for a UVA game or a tech game, mostly UVA. But you could go online, you could buy tickets and purchase tickets right there. And when you got to the venue, you just showed us that you had purchased the ticket. And not only did it, allow us to safely provide access to our venues cashless, but it also, I've learned that it's great for record keeping. I don't have to handle cash anymore, or our ticket takers don't have to handle cash anymore. So it's been a great option. Now, since the restrictions have eased up a little bit, we've offered a cash option because I've also come to find out that in our community, not everybody prefers an electronic option. So it's nice to offer those who can. But anyway, another neat innovation that we're very proud of. Speaking of COVID, we've seemingly on a turn of a dime, we were able to, and I credit everybody across the board on the team for this, especially the health committee at the central office. But we were able to quickly and I think successfully come up with a strategy, an evolving strategy that kept our kids on the field and on the court when many other school systems in our area and around the state and around the country could not or did not. And we did it safely. We did it safely. None of our student athletes or our coaches or our fans became, were negatively impacted by the decisions we made. Now, the most that I could say that went wrong for us is we had to shut down a team here or there for safety reasons, but we got right back on the floor. And I think that we should be proud of that because, those opportunities were not lost for our kids. And I don't think everybody else could say that. So we're very proud of that. Our numbers have been increasing, our participation numbers have been increasing and increasing and increasing every year. And then, COVID hit and nobody knew what to do. So some of the kids, for personal beliefs, safety reasons, whatever, didn't come out. So our numbers took a dip. But if you look at our numbers now, they're just about higher than they were before. I mean, it's great. It's great to see. I mean, you never want to make cuts, right? You want to provide as many opportunities as you can. But what I'm saying is it's a good sign that you have to make those kind of decisions because you've got so many kids that are coming out right now interested in what we have to offer and interested in being part of a team. It's really neat to see that. Here's an example. Tennis team, the girls' tennis team. Usually you're out there recruiting kids, come on out for girls' tennis. And this is what a tennis racket looks like. You want to play? And now we had, I think it was 30 girls out there trying out for women's tennis. It was amazing to see. So the challenge there is, all of a sudden I'm looking at coaches going, well, okay, I know you can only keep 10, but why don't we keep 13 or 14? And, you have practice players and, coming up with innovative ways to keep all these kids engaged and involved because they're craving it. They're itching for it.
What do you attribute that to? Why 30 girls came out?
I think that for 2 years, these kids have been at home. They've been isolated. They've had nothing to do. And they're just itching for some sort of, I know it's cliche to say this, but return to normalcy, or maybe even, we don't even know what that is, but to be a part of something that is community oriented, you know? I think the isolation really, really got to me.
I think the parents are too.
Well, you know, Mr. Mason, how you say that? Our numbers for attendance, for spectators are up. They've increased. It's really neat to see. I feel like, you know, every cloud is a silver lining. I feel like we can take a lot of the things that we've learned and experienced during COVID and flip them around and use them to make us better, you know, to inform what we've done and to make adjustments and to make things even better, you know. This is kind of informational. It's not a good or a bad thing. It's just, it's how it works. So for those of you who don't know, we're in the Jefferson district. So Orange County High School, we play a schedule that is hardly set in stone. In other words, let's take UVA, for instance, right there in the ACC conference, right? So our conference is the Jefferson district. And those are the local teams we play, including Louisa, Fluvanna. So if you look on the schedule, why is Neeley always scheduling Albemarle soccer? Well, it's, you know, it's a requirement. So we play in the Jefferson district. And the Jefferson district, like I said, includes Louisa. I'm going to forget some, I apologize. Louisa, Fluvanna, all the Albemarle schools, which includes Albemarle, Monticello, Western, and then we play Charlottesville City. And I think I've hit everybody. Oh, Goochland was my whole point of this. So we've added a member, and the district gets together just like you guys are doing right here. We get together once a month in Charlottesville, and we all collaborate and we talk policy and all that. But one of the things that we've done is go from a 7-member group to an 8-member group. Even numbers just make things a lot easier. So we've added Goochland. Actually, they requested. A couple teams requested, and Goochland was the ones we settled on. So that's a new rivalry, I guess you would say, for us. And they're a school similar to our own in size. So Orange is what's called a Class 4 school. And in the VHSL, the Virginia High School League, is our governing body for public schools. And we are a member of that. And there's 6 classes, and it's based on ADM, which means your average daily membership. And so our average daily membership at the high school in Orange is about between 14 and 1,500 fluctuates. So that means that we are a Class 4 school. If you go up to a Class 5 school, they have, you know, between, I think it's 15 and 18 or something like that, maybe 2,000, right? So it's different classes based on your enrollment. So we're a Class 4. Here's where it gets tricky. You have to play within the Jefferson district. Now, within the Jefferson district, that's not made up of all Class 4 schools. So within the Jefferson district, you're playing, if you're a Class 4 school, Albemarle is a Class 5 school, which theoretically you would think has a better chance to win, right? It's like bigger pool thing, right? So, you know, we're the mid-major playing the ACC schools here. We are, you know, anyway, so those are our district games. Those are regular season games. And I can schedule some non-conference games as well. Usually there's a little bit of room left over in our schedule where I schedule a few non-conference games. And traditionally what I like to do is keep the rivalries going, you know, and local for many different reasons. Bigger gate, bigger draw, that sort of thing. So we've traditionally played teams like Madison, Greene County, and lately Culpeper, Eastern View, a lot of the teams around here. So that's worked out very well. Now, once you get out of the Jefferson district and you go into postseason play, we are in what's called the Region 4D, as a matter of fact. So not to bore you any further, but sorry, I think it's important to know these types of things because, you know, it's just more fun if you're informed, right? So there's regions which are supposed to be comprised geographically. They're supposed to be created geographically. Doesn't always work out that way, right? But we're in what's called Region 4 because we're a Class 4 school, and there's an A, B, C, and D. So A, you'll find all the Northern Virginia schools mostly. B, you'll find a lot of Fredericksburg area schools, and then C, you'll find a lot of Fredericksburg area schools as well. And then D, you'll find a lot of the Southwest schools. And that's where we ended up. Sounds funny, doesn't it? It's a long story on how we got there. I really don't want to bore you with it, but it was not really our decision. So the VHSL makes those decisions. We fought against that one a little bit. We were in B. We were in 4B, and we were playing schools in the postseason like Chancellor, right? Which makes a lot more sense. Long story short, now we're in 4D, and what we found is we're traveling 3 hours to play in the postseason game. However, our competition is a little bit lighter. So instead of, and not only is our, the teams are a little more, we can compete a little better with them, but in 4B, it was also 21 teams, and they were adding more and more and more because it was so centrally located. So bear with me for a second. So to hang banners on the wall, you have to go to the states, right? And there's 6 classes, so there's 6 state champions, and we're in Class 4. So to go to just to get into the Class 4 state championship tournament, you have to be one of the top 2 teams in your region. So you've got a 21 team region here, and it was getting ready to be 24 team region. Only 2 teams come out of there. Well, now we're in Region 4D, where there's only 11 teams, right? So your chances of reaching the state tournament theoretically are much better. So anyway, long story short, if anybody,
We just want to be there.
that's right. So if anybody asks you, why does Neeley put us in 4B, 4D? It doesn't make any sense going to Pulaski. Well, there are some advantages.
Is that then across football, basketball, track and field?
That's right.
All of them.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Now, your team sports, but your individual sports are a little bit different. So we pick sites. Again, we get together once a month, just like this, usually in Roanoke, and talk about those sort of things. A lot of things we talk about is who's hosting what, because if you have a track event, a postseason track meet to decide your region champions, you can have it in Pulaski or you can have it in Orange, or it matters because it's a long trip for those kids. And then you're talking about possibly hotel stays and things like that, right? And a lot of those postseason decisions come quickly because you're playing your regular season, and you might be on the cusp of making the playoffs. And then on a moment's notice, you realize, oh my gosh, I'm going to Blacksburg next week, and I've got 40 kids to pick, something like that. So there's some challenges there, but it's nice because we can also be hosts. So we have a wonderful facility, a field house. It's really one of the nicest field houses in Virginia, downstate, and especially at the Class 4 level. So, we host things there as much as we can, especially tournaments that aren't team tournaments. Because at team tournaments, you have to play at different sites, come together for the championship. But a wrestling tournament, for instance, is a big event. And so we are blessed enough to be able to, for a long time now, host the region wrestling tournament. And we just get great reviews. And as I'll say in a few minutes, we won it this year. And so it's nice to do that on your home soil, But I'm sorry for that rambling. I just, I thought that was important that you guys were informed about that. And on to more accomplishments. This is really, really neat, and I'm so happy to be able to say that we've done this. Dr. Sneed's been out there, and Mrs. Page has been out there, but we started a Medford League, which is called it's called Medford League, but it's a special needs basketball team, and they go out and they compete on a regular basketball court, and the students come in and they cheer them on, and it is just the most wonderful thing you'll ever see in your life, to see these kids out there competing and having the time of their life. And it's really, really special. And this year, we took second place in the Medford League tournament, which was awesome. Those kids felt like $1 million. It was really neat. And we're also broadcasting out in the VHS network. But so with the success of Medford League basketball, they're called the Hornet Heroes. With the success of the Medford League basketball team, we were able to expand further. And so now we've done bowling. We're in the Medford League Bowling League. And we're also doing the kickball league here in the spring coming up. That'll be the first time we've done that. And we're looking into expanding further. There's a called Champions Together track team. And so that should be fun. I know when I was a PE teacher, one of the best days of the year for me was I ran the long jump for the Special Olympics. And it was probably more fun for me than it was for the kids that were participating because they are just so genuine. You know, there's no front on those kids. They're just happy to be there. They're having a ball. It's a special day for everybody. But anyway, so if you get a chance to come to one of our Medford League basketball games, I think you won't regret it. It is a blast. And you'll hear our kids cheering harder for them than you will for any other sport. It's really neat.
It does warm your heart.
We were talking about this earlier. One of the challenges with being a class 4 school is you've got to make sure that your participation levels are there. So when you look to add a new sport offering for your kids, you've got to make sure that your participation numbers are going to justify it, right? Well, we've been talking about lacrosse and interest with levels seemed to be there. So they started a club team, and credit to Judy Carter and others, but they were able to get a club team off and running, which isn't a member of the VHSL. So they were having, they would have difficulty with things like scheduling teams and things like that to play. Well, it's bona fide now. And so for it should have been 3 years, but COVID hit us. But for 2 years now, we've had a bona fide VHSL member lacrosse team. And I am pleased to say that this year, we actually have enough participants to have a JV team as well. So in our little tiny Orange County school, we've got lacrosse for our kids. And it has been a blast to watch. And those kids, they're having a great time. We play up behind Prospect Heights at the upper field up there. And they've done a wonderful job. They've won games. It's hard to come out as a brand new sport. You've got teams, again, in the Jefferson District. So you've got teams like Albemarle, Western Albemarle, Monticello. I mean, these are real deal soccer and lacrosse teams, and Charlottesville. And I am pleased to say we tied Charlottesville, which to me is a victory. And so if you get a chance to come out, it's boys and girls lacrosse. It is a blast, and we're having a good time. So I'm happy to say that we're looking to keep expanding. The more offerings we can give these kids, the more connections they're going to get to our school, and the more it's going to benefit them. Not to go on a ramble again, but we were talking about briefly earlier. You need a connection to your school. You need something that's going to wake you up in the morning and motivate you, right? And for me, it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. How I get to go to practice and see my buddies, and so if I can get every kid in the school involved in some activity, it doesn't have to be sports, some activity, that's really going to tie them and connect them to our school. I'm also pleased to announce that in the past few years, we've expanded our offerings to include things other than athletic activities, right? So as the director of activities, it doesn't just mean, sports. So VHSL has what they call academic offerings. So we have a theater team, and this is a team of kids that gets on stage and acts, but it's in a competition setting. So you act and you're competing against other teams that are acting. And it's pretty neat, and it provides an outlet for kids who might otherwise not be involved in an activity.
You got a fishing team too.
We do. We have a bass team, long-time bass team, very successful bass team.
Customer guys work for that.
Becky Gore was instrumental in that. We also have what's called an academic team. So think Jeopardy, but in a team setting. And we've had a young man that took over the academic team for us this year and has just taken it to a next level. And so they are very successful. And we just sent one of our young men to Atlanta, Georgia for a national tournament. And so keep your eyes and ears out for those guys, which is a great segue into another accomplishment. And I'll start talking about individual teams, but we've launched a social media campaign. Today's digital age, information is key. And one of the ways to get information out there is social media. You just have to be a little careful. But so we have a Facebook page, which is updated frequently, and also a website, a brand new athletic website that was only launched 2 months ago, I think. And it's still young, but it's a great way to get schedules, scores, resources, information, all that stuff out there. Photos. So how did we do this past season? And our football team did very well. I don't want to single out too many students because really, it's a team effort. But there's a couple exceptions that I would like to mention, and this young man is just an exceptional young man. But his name's Paul Poirier. He's a quarterback for us. And he has really stepped up his leadership role this year. And it's the first time in a while that we have had the postseason accolades for a quarterback. But Paul Poirier received Falcon Club Player of the Year, which is a tremendous honor because it's all the area schools. Central Virginia Quarterback of the Year, first team all district, first team all region, and second team all state. And this kid, the neat thing about this kid is that that's all secondary. His best attributes are his character and his intelligence. And he's just a really, really cool kid. He does have some postseason, post-secondary offers, but, I don't know that football is going to be his greatest motivation. So one of the things that I love to tell these kids is that we are happy and excited for you to play in postseason things, and you've worked so hard to do that. But academics really is what's going to get you there. I see a lot of kids and a lot of parents who really, really push the batting average or, whatever it might be, but they leave the other part as secondary. But when coaches and colleges come calling, they call us student athletes, not athlete students. So I really, really stress to the kids, and the coaches do a great job of this, that academics has to come first, And here's the key. Basketball might help you get into college. It's probably not going to pay your bills after college, but science will, right? So use your skills and your God-given abilities to do whatever you can to get yourself into college and to help you pay for college. But when you come out of there, that's why academics is so important. But anyway, Paul certainly gets that. And Paul's just a role model and a leader for our athletes. Very proud of him. So the football team made the playoffs. We traveled down to George Washington and
Danville.
That was a 3-hour trip, and those boys were this tall. That was quite an experience down there. But I will say they were gracious in victory. They fed us. When we got there, they had a whole bench this long lined up with bags of food for us, sandwiches and chips and water, and it was really nice. They were a good bunch of guys, but they were a different level team. But anyway, we had a lot of success on the field and off the field. Football was fun to watch this year, and our participation numbers were good going. Field hockey. We had a new coach take over field hockey 2 years ago, and she's an exceptional coach, and these kids will run through walls for her. And she has taken us to a totally different level. And last year, during the COVID year, only one team was allowed to advance to states. Normally it's 2 out of the region, top 2 teams, right? Well, we made it to that championship game on our, no, excuse me, it wasn't on our home field. We made it to the championship game, and it was at Chancellor Court. Anyway, we lost that game, and so we couldn't advance to states. But on a normal year, we would have. So it was a little disappointing for the kids. But this year, again, we made it to the semifinals, and so I was very proud of them. We had lost, all of our key seniors from last year, and we were a young team. We came back and we made it all the way to the semifinals. We sent a lot of kids to all district honors, all region honors. So extremely proud of the field hockey team. 5 players made all Jefferson District on an 11-man team. So. Golf, we had an individual advance to the state golf tournament, which we haven't done in a few years. And our team placed 3rd in the region, and that's a tough region for golf. You've got all those kids down in Roanoke and Salem that they eat and breathe golf down there. So I was very proud of them for that. In addition, in the fall, we have competition cheer, sideline cheer, volleyball, and cross country teams. They all compete in the fall, and they all had very successful seasons as well. The cross country team is neat in that they practice out at James Madison's Montpelier. And what a beautiful setting to go after school every day and run in that setting. So we're very lucky to have that. Teams love to come and compete against us there. It's just a neat place. In the winter, we have a boys and girls swim team, and we have a swimmer right now. Again, I don't want to talk about too many individuals, but her name is Charlotte Samuels, and she's incredible. She's set. She broke and broke again 3 times. She broke the school records this year. Her own records now.
She's just a junior.
She is. She's a junior. Another great kid. You know what I mean? She's like, straight A student.
Grew up at Country Town Pool.
That's right. Wonderful kid, wonderful athlete. So she set and broke 3 school records this year. She was the region champ. Again, this is the Roanoke teams now. They've, all those Salem and Roanoke teams, they have a lot of facilities down there to swim in. She went down there and she was a champion, region champion in the 200 individual. She took 2nd in the 50 free. That's, that's like, that's the Usain Bolt event. You know what I mean? That's like the best. Right. The fastest one's getting there. So I can't wait to see what she does next year. And they did well as a team. We actually sent a relay team to states for the first time in a long time. And we are very lucky enough to have partnered with Woodbury Forest. And so we go out there and we have facilities that, where are you going to swim, right? You have to practice every day. So Woodbury, we go right out there. It's 5 miles away, and we get to practice out there. And they're very thankful for that. We try to be very respectful of their facilities. Also in the winter, boys and girls basketball teams compete. The girls basketball team won more games this year than they had the past 2 years, which is an accomplishment and a blessing. And they did all that without a senior. 0 seniors on the team. So it's mostly comprised of 9th and 10th graders. We had a few juniors. So I think I can't wait to see what they do in the future. Boys basketball team had a very successful season. Few things hit us there at the end of the season, which prevented us from going deep into the region, which was unfortunate. However, early on in the season, the first half of the season, I think we were 10-1 or something like that. Something, just an incredible record. And like I said earlier, winning fixes a lot of things. Well, all of a sudden I look up on Friday night and their bleachers are slam packed with people, and it had been a few years since I had seen it like that. And we had some games, the atmosphere was electric. And I was just so happy for the community of Orange, it's like what I pray for. And there it was, and it's been a long time. So that was really, really That was really neat to see again. And I'm looking forward to continuing that. We have a really good basketball coach. He's all about building young men. He's a kind of a Tony Bennett disciple. I don't know if you like Tony Bennett or not, but he preaches a lot of things that are bigger than basketball. And so anyway, we're very happy to have him. So also in winter, and this might be maybe our biggest on paper accomplishment of the year, but our wrestling team. Like I said, we're lucky enough to host the big tournaments here. Our regular season tournament, unfortunately, was canceled. We had the Coach K tournament. And we were looking forward to that this year because we lost our dear friend, Betty Allman. And Betty Allman one of the things we're known for is having the best hospitality room at any tournament. And so Betty would come in and she would fix us all, sausage and gravy. And then at lunchtime, it's just all day long, there's all kinds of food for the coaches. And so this year, we were scrambling trying to fill her shoes. But unfortunately, it snowed that weekend, as it seems to do every weekend this winter. And we had to cancel that tournament. So I was a little disappointed for the seniors. They weren't able to have the Coach K tournament this year, but we did. We took second place in the Jefferson district. There was a fluke there at the end. Louisa slipped in and got it from us. But then we went on to the postseason in the region. And in the postseason in the region, you have a seeding. You seed your athletes individually by weight class, right? There's 14 weight classes. So anyway, long story short, we go in there, comes down to literally the last match. Literally the last match. And this kid, Thomas, not our best wrestler, and he's one of the big boys. The big boys go last, and these boys come out there rumbling, and they had him down. We nearly lost. He was out. He was exhausted. So he was so exhausted that there's 3 periods in wrestling. After the second period, he was on his knees, and you have to get up. You have to get up, and then you can get back down. Because on wrestling, you can start on your knees if you choose. But anyway, he had to get up. He couldn't get up. So we're losing, and we're getting ready to lose the match and the whole event. He can't get up, and so finally he struggles. He stands up. This is perseverance, Stands up. Says, Thomas, what do you want? And he says, I want to get on my knees. So he starts on his knees, and there's 1 minute left in this match, and he's losing. He pins it. He gets the guy down on top of him, pins him, the place just goes nuts, and we win the whole thing. We're region champions for the first time in years. It was really, really special. So that probably one of the best highlights of the year for me. But and he's a hero, So, and we sent 7 kids on to the state tournament, which is a lot for us. Out of 14, there's 14 slots, and 7 of them were filled with orange kids. So that was pretty special. You have to be in the top 4 of your region tournament just to go to the state tournament. So, and we had some success there. We didn't have any state champions, but a couple of our younger kids came home in 2nd and 3rd places, which bodes well for the future for us. So I don't think this is our last year of success on the mats. But anyway, so three kids placed at the state tournaments. And another wrestling accomplishment. So the VHSL started. Mr. Mason, am I okay? Am I all
It's your show.
Okay, I am so sorry. I told you I get rambling.
Go ahead.
I'll wrap it up here. I'll wrap it up in the next hour and a half. Sorry.
We do have some business to do though.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So the last thing I'll say. This is just another special thing. So the VHSL is exploring girls wrestling. It's more popular now than ever. You're going to find a lot of opportunities are expanding for kids, and it's making my job a little crazier. Having all these things going on, but it's great because there's something for everybody. So girls wrestling, it's in its infant stages, but there's so much popularity that the VHSL says we're going to have a girls state championship. And there's 5 wrestling tournaments that are part of this. And there's 4 wrestling tournaments, and then there's a postseason wrestling tournament championship. right, for girls wrestling. We hosted one of the regular season tournaments, by the way. One of only 5 in the state. So postseason comes, we send our girls, and it was in Hayfield High School. It was snowing, and we get up there, and it was just a long commute, a long day, and come the end of the tournament, we're right there. We're right there at the top. But we have to place to even have a shot at this. So the first girl goes, and she gets 3rd place. Good for her. That's a good start. Second place, our second girl goes, and her name is Stella Stigler, and she is born to do this. She pins the girl and wins her division. So now we're in good shape. Comes down to, again, to the last girl. And Katie, we really need you, you know, if you do this, we could possibly be state champions just by a fraction. Okay, no pressure. No pressure. She digs deep and she does it. She wins the match, points add up, and then Orange is state champion. So we were state champions in girls wrestling. So, they came home, you know, just beaming.
David Stigler, the grandfather.
David Stigler's uncle.
Oh,
Steve is dad.
okay.
So post secondary wise, we do a signing day every year, and we haven't done it yet, but I'm pleased to say that on average, we send as many, if not more, kids on to college to play sports than do the Albemarle County schools, which I'm not, you know, competing, but I do check those numbers.
We're competing.
Here we are.
And those schools are, those are class 5, aren't they? Or are they?
Albemarle County's, Albemarle High School is class 5, Western's class 3.
And we send more than they do. It's good. It's good.
Not always, but as much, yeah. And this year, we've got some Division I athletes too, which is a special accomplishment. You know, that's just a different level of competition. So we have a girls high jumper, and she is one region, she's one of the district. Everywhere she goes, she either takes 1st or 2nd place, and her name's Ariana Colson. So she just signed with Radford, and so she's going to be competing at the Division I level, and I'm very excited for her because the first 2 years that she did this, she didn't have a track, you know, and so now she's got this top-notch facility and this top-notch equipment, and so I'm very proud for her. And spring sports are going on right now, and I'm just pleased to say we're doing just as well on those. Baseball's got 1 loss, softball's undefeated. Girls soccer has won more games already than they had won in the past 2 years. Boys soccer is doing well. So onward and upward for us. And, you know, thanks for all your support. I'm here to answer, you know, any questions, anytime, call. Please come watch these kids. There's nothing like seeing people in the stands. It makes a huge difference. Just me.
Pay to play or
Oh,
cost
thank
for the families. I just wanted to get a handle on what
So-
participating is costing.
I wrote that down there and I didn't even say it. So thank you guys. So one of the major accomplishments a few years ago that our school board, our administration was able to provide our students was getting rid of that. It used to be $100 for these kids to participate in sports. And our school board said that's unacceptable. So now it's free. It's free.
When it was acceptable, Judy, I get the phone call from Judy. Hey, Chuck, yeah, I got this and that, and they're really good at whatever.
Yeah, I
Need a
will
couple
say-
$100.
Yeah, I will say that there were a lot of good community members, as like Chuck, who always sometimes filled in for kids that. But I think we did everything that we could to make it available to them. If they really
Yes,
wanted to
I was involved when that was going on, and
Yeah.
there were scholarships
That was-
available and everything. You're
That
right.
was a grand thing to be able to get rid of that.
Maybe
Kids who want to compete in Orange can compete.
Yeah. the school
So,
Do you generally go by the term coach or
I
director?
like coach.
Coach.
I don't like director.
I call it coach.
Yeah, I think you need to give yourself credit because looking at all the things that you're telling us today, and I mean, I know you're going, oh my gosh, I'm doing a lot of time, and we appreciate what you're doing. I think one thing you have to look at is, I think you're a very innovative director. And I think you've looked at the program to see how it needs to advance and incorporate so many things into it. So as a member of the community, I appreciate that because you've made a lot available to our students. So thank you for your work.
I have no idea how enjoyable it was listening to
Is
you.
that right?
I'm a newcomer to the county and I just love the sports. I came from a large county in Maryland that had 7 high schools, all of which had over 1,000 students. Totally different. Talk about a pool, bring your athletes from, but to come down here and see the enthusiasm, it's just amazing. I made a commitment to come to Friday night lacrosse games. I said, I had to warm up. Right? Yeah, 7 o'clock game lacrosse. But I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Good stuff.
You have to.
Good for you. You're not allowed to drink anything stronger than coffee. I have a rosary here. There you go.
Hold the rotary.
Oh.
This is advertising.
Yeah, get rid of the glare. Give experience.
You sure you don't want to get?
No, that's.
No, actually, we should get you up
Yeah,
here.
no,
Come on.
you're fine.
No,
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 the host is.
come on.
Oh, you're not.
Somebody help him up. Come on, help him up. Come on, here. Get you over here. I want you to get in the middle here. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Chuck, get in just a little bit.
I think I need a stool.
Here we go. Thank you.
For indulging.
Coach, we're going to shift to a business meeting. You are more than welcome to get bored to death. But we thank you so much, and we understand you've got to go back to school. But I have a request. This Saturday is our annual fundraiser. So when you get back to your office, you've got any of those spigot thingies left over that pour money out? Would you call me, give me, let me borrow a couple of things?
Turn the spigot on.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much.
Sure.
Take 1 second. I have to just give you one anecdote. Several years ago, all the lacrosse youth teams that were any good came down to Richmond for a huge tournament. And it was featured, the featured speaker was a guy by the name of Kevin Corrigan, who's the lacrosse coach at Notre Dame, been there for 25 years. He grew up in Charlottesville, Virginia. His father was my lacrosse coach at UVA. When Kevin was this big shagging loose lacrosse balls. He gave a talk that shook people to their core. And, I mean, picture hundreds of people have come from 3 states now for this huge tournament, that big athletic complex, sort of south of Richmond there, you know the one I'm talking about. He said, any of you kids that are struggling to keep a C average in high school, do yourself a favor, gather your parents up and leave now and go back to school. Because if all you can do is maintain a C average in high school, you won't get a lacrosse scholarship to play a Division I school in lacrosse. And I mean, you could the air that came out of the room. Yeah. Well, fortunately, nobody got up and left, but the message was loud and clear. Academics, academics, academics. I have lots of grandkids that played, and you get a lacrosse scholarship to a $40,000 a year school. You might get $5,000 if you're really good. But what they do is they walk you across the hall to the academic side of the thing. They got bundles of money to give away. If you've got a 3.5 or 3.7, something in that range, and all the other go-withs, it's where you get the money, is from the academic side. It's lacrosse that gets, or not just lacrosse, but any good side, any sport, You get them wanting you to be there, they walk across the hall, and it happens at all my grandkids. You don't always get 100%, but you get to go to a college of your choice if you like. So stick with the academics, coach. You're on the right track. Yes, sir. Yes.